Perfect.
Okay, we're running. Okay. Pavilions Township Committee, March 14th, 2015. Roll call. Bailey's?
Yes.
Farrello?
Yes.
Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Okay. Adequate notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by mailing the schedule of the Township Committee to the Express and North Star Ledger newspapers, posting a copy on the Township Bulletin Board and the Township website, and filing a copy with the Township Clerk. Executive session.
Make a motion to enter executive session to cover contract negotiations, 1 for temporary help, 2 for payroll.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Angela, second. Discussion? Roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Farrello?
Yes.
Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Turn off the tape, turn the system.
Did you shut the door?
Doors are shut, right, Joe?
I shut them in.
All right, so where are we at? Are we on? Motion to come out of executive session.
Motion.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Let's stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You want to excuse Frank?
Yeah. Frank?
Yes.
Frank, you can go, if you'd like.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Thanks for coming. I
Have a
appreciate
good
it.
night. Bye,
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay, any public comment, noting that there is no one in the room? I think we can dispense with the public comment. I need a motion for authorizing the mayor to sign the contract with account temps according to the terms and conditions discussed in executive session.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Bailey's?
Aye.
Farrello?
Yes.
Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes. I need a motion authorizing the mayor to sign the contract with Foster Thomas according to the terms discussed in executive session.
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Elaine made it. Joe second. Discussion? Roll call.
Bailey's?
Yes.
Farrello?
Yes.
Emiliani?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes. Okay, so, this meeting was advertised as the, budget workshop, and in a last-minute attempt, what I wanted to put out there was basically some of the budget items, for discussion. Being that Elaine is, on the line, Tom is not here, and we don't have it in front of us, I want to just hit it at a summary level for now, and then come back, hopefully for next week's meeting and be able to get into more of a discussion about it. So we reached out to all of the departments, and what I have under my item here is the status of their submission of the budget, right? And I know police have done something, I see pending here, but I don't really know what the status of the police budget is at this point. Are you able to speak to it, Joe, at
I am
all?
not able to speak to it. I know that, as you know, Tom and I are both co-reporting authority. I believe Tom made a request. We have not gotten a response, so I'll speak with Tom to make sure we're on the same page, and then one of us will reach out to Chief Hummer and indicate that we need to get his submission. And, you know, to the extent, you know, if we don't get any response, you know, we've already identified the need for probably 2 police vehicles. We haven't purchased cars in 4 years. And, you know, the question is going to be, you know, what type of vehicle we get that's going to be the most cost-effective for the taxpayer, you know, and, you know, what is appropriate for our township and the type of thing. So, you know, we'll sort that out, but And then the other item that we discussed was possibly obtaining the scanner that can, read the license plates exactly, which I think is, Tom's the one who has the numbers on it, but if I can be permitted to approximate, I think would be approximately $30,000 between the scanner and the server that you have to buy. And I know that last year I spoke to Mayor Kearns, who indicated that it's pretty much a no-brainer and it pays for itself. It'll pay back in spades. So, those are the two items of need that Tom and I identified, for lack of a better word, without input. And, we'll see if there's anything else that needs to be added to that. And I know DPW, you all saw Joe's presentation at the last meeting, and he gave the backup documentation, which, Kim, if you can, for the next meeting when we discuss this, if you could just reproduce Joe's stuff that Jim has. Yeah,
see,
great. Oh, I see. That's what that is right there.
There's a visual here. They're all.
We'll just start adding to it, as it grows. Yeah, and then we can have like one source document. And just for the record, I know there's nobody here, but there might be people who view the tape. What we started this year was to really undertake an operational review of all departments. We're now, we started today undertaking a review of our police department operation with an outside company. Dominic Saldina was introduced to Chief Hummer today. They met for approximately 2 hours today, to start that process. And we're, I've met with Joe Mexi on several occasions, as has Tom, as co-liaison. The two of us have had extensive discussions regarding DPW reviews, needs, and whatnot, in terms of what we're bringing in. So we are, Tom's also met with the fire department. They've submitted their budget information. I know that the biggest ticket item that's needed is the breathing apparatus for our fire department. It's most of the equipment that we have right now is approaching antiquated or past life, and the cost for replacing the apparatus, I believe, is about $250,000 for the entire fire department. So, we're not looking at insignificant items. We previously authorized Mike Finelli to undertake a review of our roads to prioritize, with a cost not to exceed $8,000, I believe, at the last meeting, and he's efforting that. So, we're looking to hit every department, come up with a comprehensive list, see what the total amount is, then we can have a discussion about how we're going to finance this in the least impactful way to the taxpayer. And then we can, after we list everything, we can decide what we need to do now, what can wait. But we want to at least try and get it into a grid, right, Jim, that you're working on, so we can see the full picture, and then we can kind of, shuffle the deck, so to speak, and see what we need to do. Now, I have not spoken to the rescue squad yet, so I will reach out to the rescue squad and see, where they're at in terms of budgetary items. And for me, that's those are my items. I don't have anything else to add.
No, that's helpful. And some of this documentation is here. What Kim is doing is consolidating all of this information, so we have one book to go by. Everything will be in there, not only the budget requests from each individual department, but also the bids that we have sent out. The lawn cutting, those type things will be in that booklet. This way we have everything financed, included in one spot. There's also, I was authorized earlier on this year to take on buildings and grounds, and I had the pleasure of walking around with Joe Mexi, and so we built up a nice little grid, and really, we're looking at, $10,000 to $15,000 worth of necessary repairs and projects and whatnot, and then there's some big hitters that, make you want to take a step back, such as septic, okay? Do we improve, and for the audience that isn't here, do we improve our current septic system here, or do we look into other alternatives? And we also have to factor in where will our fire company be located? Will they remain here, and if so, for how long? So I think what we need to do is try to digest all of this information. And Kim, if you can get this, how you doing, Joe? If you can get this information bundled up and let us know when it's ready, if we can hopefully discuss this before the next meeting, or have it ready for discussion for the next meeting, I think it'll be helpful, because we'll have to make some decisions and lay out a plan for when those decisions start to fall into our budget cycle, this year, next year, the following year, and whatnot. But I think having the whole picture in front of us is going to be helpful. There's a lot of levers here that need to be twisted in certain ways, and, you know, that's part of our job, is to figure out how we produce necessary maintenance while maintaining stability with our tax base.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, getting the full picture, you know, using the septic system as an example, if we spend $50,000 to $60,000 to replace the septic system for the municipal building, and then we're talking about bringing sewers to downtown, you know, and if that's going to come, do you really want to spend the 50 or 60 on a sewer that 2 years later is going to be connected? That's money better served somewhere else. So we have to identify it as a potential cost, but then we're going to have to integrate all of these things into, as you said, you know, a rollout of a 3-5 year plan or whatever. So I think having everything in front of us will help us make those decisions for sure.
Okay. Well, seeing that Joe Mexi has joined us, Joe, I don't want to put you on the spot,
But he's going to do it.
but I will anyway. You presented us with buildings and grounds. I believe Elaine has a copy of this in front of her. I don't know about Angelo and Joe. But can you, I think it's worth a few minutes, if you can go through them just at a high level. Okay. Thank you.
Is this all you have of the building?
That is all I have for buildings and grounds. We did fire,
DPW.
or DPW. What did
We
we
did
do?
DPW.
Just
the last-
DPW, so we
yes.
should do fire.
Yeah, if we haven't done that yet, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll copy that, too.
You have DPW?
Well, we talked about
talked about
DPW.
DPW.
Yeah, but I'm going to put it in the packet.
Yeah, you can for sure put it in the packet.
Yeah.
No, so, where's his three notes? You have this here, right?
The fire department, yeah, that's fire department, I want
All right.
DPW.
Do you have a fire department for,
I have fire departments already in the book.
all right, can we get that to Mr. Angelo and Mr. Torriello?
Okay.
And Elaine has this, and you should have it in front of you. You have these in front of you, Elaine, or
No, I don't.
you recall these? Okay. Do you want to hang on while we go through these two things? And I think,
Yeah, I'm here for the meeting.
okay, good. So we'll just go through those two things, and I think that's all we have that we can cover.
I see, so in other words, this, because you already put this in here, I got
Yeah,
this in.
yeah.
Yep, yeah, understood.
Joe, you want to come up, or you want to get a microphone or something, or?
Why don't you sit at the table?
Just because I want to...
Yeah,
Come sit at the table.
Sit up here.
Shall we set the microphone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
you're on camera.
You're on camera.
You're on camera anyway now, because we film the audience.
We do it both ways.
Have a seat.
We have a full house tonight.
What's that?
Yeah, be careful, Joe, you're really...
Yeah, you can move
I'm
closer
good on
to
my-
Jim.
Jim doesn't fight.
Yeah, I'm good on my feet here,
Just ask Joe.
or on my rear end.
All right, so walk us through the buildings and grounds, Joe. We spent a good hour or two together.
Yeah, we walked through the buildings and grounds, starting out in the park and stuff, and just pointed out some things over the years that have deteriorated and stuff like that, and you asked me to put together a list of some things that, that I recognize being here, being a worker 5 days a week and stuff, and go through and come up with a plan of what needs to be fixed critically, needs attention immediately, and what, what we can maybe put off and do terms that way. So I did put together a list, and along with my list, I put together what can be done by DPW or in-house, and what would need a contractor and stuff of that sort. And as we walked around through the park, some general maintenance and stuff like that, some paint, some sprucing up, we talked about, and
Like the rusty doors and stuff,
rusty doors, even out in the park, need some paint and stuff
Playground.
like that, out in the pavilion, the
Yeah.
playground equipment and stuff, and I told you my thoughts about that, is maybe even, we get the prisoners to come in to help with after Community Day and stuff, and they're always looking for small projects like that to do, that if there's so much work to do in DPW, it'd help take some of the burden off that way.
Yeah.
They can do a weekend job of wire brushing things, painting it, and they're looking for jobs for them people like that. They go around to the county grounds, and I know this by talking to the guards that bring them guys down. They're always looking for work release stuff on the weekends for them people. So there's that stuff like that, the playground mulch, and general maintenance things that seem to press DPW. You know, we don't have time to do with the other things that we have to do. So buildings and grounds wise, I know when we walked around, we noticed the one heating air conditioning unit freezing up out here. I got a quote and stuff on that, and according to Lou Pisano, he believes it's a thermostat set up in there. An easy fix, it's not a whole unit, it's a $600 fix at max to fix the temperature gauge and stuff like that, or the thermostat inside that. The end of last year, Joe asked for replacement to get the locks all keyed with a master lock and have individual keys into sections of the municipal building and stuff. Kim had that quote there. That's where I got that price at the end of the year for replacement and getting, because there's so many different sets of keys and other things throughout the municipal building and the municipal grounds here. We had a problem that I reported I put in the fire company budget. We had an issue with the Cascade system. That's the system that fills the air bottles for the firefighters' SCBA, their air packs. A bus in the fuse box burnt out, and it burnt what's called a leg of the electricity off. So we had to switch it around. The electrician I had come in and change that out and put a new circuit in. Found a set of 3, but that's on a priority list that needs to be taken care of.
It's on borrowed time.
Yeah, it's on borrowed time, the electrical part. Then repair, there's some holes in the walls and underneath some of the buildings. Like I said, that's in-house stuff, back in the DPW garage and around general maintenance-wise, air filters, water filters, stuff like that have not been taken care of in the past in the municipal building. That sometimes when the air conditioning people come in, they change that out, where we could probably do it more often, like every 2 months instead of every 6 months, and issues like that. Light bulbs and stuff like that, and covering upgrades as you look in this room, the multicolored lighting throughout the room. If you've never even noticed it, it's a little different. And that's light bulbs, and that's the age of the shades and stuff like that. Yeah. And then large projects as the septic system, since the system that's on the building, knowing septic systems, I've been here long enough to know that probably about 12, 15 years ago, we had to dig up because the laterals were all plugged up. We had them rotor-rooted, but the fellow that did them said they're not long because the solids got built up into the solid septic tank, and it's not leaving the water flow. That's why we're on a schedule to have the septic pumped at this facility. The laterals need to be taken care of, and plus the distribution box, we had to build a lid onto it because it was so deteriorated and crushed. We made a form and put a concrete lid on top of it and cleaned it out the best that we could at that time. So, stuff's deteriorating. We're talking about a building that was built in 1976, 1977. We're getting at the 40-year mark. Yeah. 40 years here, the
Septic
next couple of
design
years.
is like 50 years, right?
Yes, yeah. So, and then we know about the emergency generator, that we have a $45,000 that's in a grant application at this time, 35 from FEMA, and then there's an additional 10,000 county grant that is in the process of being approved right now, but the project's going to be in the area of $75,000. But that generator will 100% run this whole facility. And I'm talking the municipal building itself intact this building here, none of the outbuildings. They're on a separate loop of electricity to the facility. We discussed about replacing the old HVAC system. I never did, the heating air conditioning guy never did get back to me. That wintertime it was quite busy, and then we had a couple of snowstorms. So I don't have a quote on that to be on there.
I thought we replaced an HVAC in 13.
Yes, we did. This meeting room here was done. The main meeting room, the heating air conditioning is two separate systems here. This system and then your offices and corridor there, actually three. And then the police department has the third system in this building,
Which is
heating
the
and
one
air
that needs the
conditioning.
thermostat.
The police department needs the temperature control thermostat for the outside unit, yes. And the oldest one right now operating is for the main offices upstairs here in the hallway corridor, that separate system there. 3 years ago, back in 2012, the roof was painted because it was so rusted and disrepair, and I called and got another quote for $2,700 just to put another layer on it because it's starting to wear a little thin. It's a little preventive maintenance to stop a major leak. There is still a little bit of a leak in the firehouse, and I think that was more snow weight than anything else, setting down in the screws and stuff like that. But to put another layer, this was like a rubberizing, had a texture paint to it, and for less than $3,000 would be a good maintenance upkeep thing.
Is this the same thing that was put down in 2012?
Yes, it would be recoating, it would be a recoating the silver paint and stuff like that. Replacing the man doors, and like I said, there were some things there, replacing the man doors on the DPW and fire station. Man doors is saying where you go in and out, the doors are sagging from all the years of in and out and stuff, and they drag and they catch and they don't latch and things like that. So with it being in half concrete and half steel, it could be possibly needing a contractor to do them doors because of the way they're installed into the building. Then we go to the list here, the storage building and the pavilions, like talked about the salt shed, estimated using the Morris County Co-op pricing, about $4,000 for the materials to reconstruct the inner walls of the salt shed. And also I just looked up online from Home Depot, they sell that outside metal sheeting to replace the rusty sheeting and stuff like that, in 16-foot lengths. That's what we needed to put down. Labor provided by the DPW or through us. I can stud that out and do things like that. And probably be about 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks worth of work there, painting stuff up. The two man doors on the storage buildings, which is DPW, need to be replaced, age and time, and rusted out. The bottoms are all rotten out and leaking. Talked about replacing the outdoor light on one of the buildings that stays on. It's operated by a switch to a dusk to dawn, so it ain't burning 24/7. And then paint and water seal the pavilions. We have the gazebo out there that's all wood and stuff, and the wood underneath the pavilion here. And also, we have a newer pavilion up at Stecker Park, the Morton Building one, that is in good shape yet, but once again, just a precautionary or just a general maintenance thing to prevent large deterioration and large expense afterwards, is to take care of that. And then we get into parks and playgrounds. Playground mulch, special triple ground playground mulch is $19.43 per yard, an estimated 100 yards. We got to put it in the areas where there's potential fall and things of that, underneath the jungle gym, the swing sets, the slides. We have it all dug out, and that was another thing talked about, where maybe we can get the work release guys on the weekend to do stuff like that, have the mulch there for them to distribute, and then what they don't get done maybe be picked up, or they might do 2 weekends. We had an issue during Community Day last year with some of the outlets along the creek that are in the ground right there, that were temporary fixed and hooked up, but properly they have to have a GFI, so because they're in a wet condition outdoor, they need to be taken care of and looked at and fixed, and the time's now to do it, not the week of Community Day to have that stuff done.
We like doing
And
things
take care.
last minute.
Yeah.
It's more fun, Joe.
It keeps us all on our toes. We also walked across the bridge. Some boards need to be replaced and stuff like that, and resealed, and that's nothing more than purchasing of the boards. I put an estimate on that, knowing what the cost was, because I was going to use the same kind of lumber.
Joe, can I
in
ask
the
you,
salt shed.
can I ask you a
Yes.
question? I mean, I know in 2013, we had a former official who made the town, we had flagpoles popping up all over town using the Boy Scouts for
Mhm.
stuff that we were purchasing. But I'm wondering if it wouldn't be more community-oriented or a better partnership with Boy Scouts if we can reach out to the Scouts, and maybe for things like the painting of the pavilions or the bridge with the wood, if that might be something that we can have the Boy Scout, in other words, we buy the material, they can come in, maybe get a merit badge or a
Sure, that's a
accommodation.
good possibility. Yeah, I
to,
didn't
to
even think of that.
assist.
Like I said, I knew of that being, and they get 10, 13 people that do that, but even that situation there, yeah, that would be
Yeah,
a
I mean, I know
great
for
idea.
myself, if it was a weekend or something, I'd be happy to, to assist and supervise, for lack of a
Yeah.
better word. I mean, when it
Yeah.
comes to anything, construction, me and supervising's a dangerous proposition, but I'm certainly would be there, to help and get them materials that they need, or
Yeah.
that
yeah.
type of stuff.
No,
you know?
that would be a good project, I think. I believe that would work out
So-
well for them.
Do you have contact information for all the Boy Scouts, Tim? Can we have a letter maybe prepared by the mayor to reach out? That would, right. Maybe we can tell them as the spring approaches, we're looking to kind of, and, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, correct, yes. Yes. Sorry.
And once again, there's the swing sets, painting, and the same issue, and it really costs the paint and maybe supplies and stuff like that. Then we walked through the basketball court, and you asked me about the micro paving. And in the Morris County Co-op, they have micro paving, but the micro paving is quite expensive, as you see. This basketball court is 7,500 square feet, and at $7.50 a square foot, that's $56,250. Once again, the Morris County Co-op.
I was shocked.
So I called the fellas at Sealmaster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I called the fellas at Sealmaster, where I got the quote for the crack tarring machine and the material, and they make a special sealing stuff that they can rent us the equipment again, put the liquid into it, and we spray it on for a little under $900. Probably a little bit more, because we'll need to repaint the white lines and stuff, but we'll take our little crack machine, fill the cracks, and then spray that on. Gives a nice black coating. It doesn't look so rough, and it seals it up, seals the blacktop and all the little crevices and stuff like that, and then repaint it. It'll look presentable, and it'll help seal it and keep the weather from getting through the blacktop. That's pretty much it through what I've put together. I do still have proposals and quotes here attached. I have the original copies and stuff in my paperwork here.
Okay, that's good.
So,
questions on the buildings
yeah,
and grounds?
I'm just looking right, Joe, first of all, thank you very much. That was really, comprehensive and appreciated. And just so if we down below on the parks and playgrounds, if we did the ceiling versus the paving, that would reduce that whole total bundle by $55,000.
Correct.
Right? And then up top, where it says 132, if we have a conversation and we're moving towards sewer, so we defer a new septic system, we could take the 50 off the block, and the emergency generator, you have 75 listed, but in fact, the cost to the taxpayer, I understand we have to lay it out, but we're getting 45 of that back, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
we're really only talking about, that 75 is really 35.
Yes.
So this whole thing is like 40 grand.
Right.
Actually,
So when
that 75 is 30.
Yeah, if we don't
It's
do that,
30,000.
Is 30.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Angelo asked if we get it back in the same year.
It's once the completion of the project is in, and that's gonna depend on the start of the project, of course. Right now, the application went through all the state, and it's down to FEMA, federal government in Washington. They are reviewing the application, and once they approve it, they'll contact state OEM. State OEM will inform me through the New Jersey M grants and an email. Then we can start the process, and then the process will be, we got to put together the bid package, just like we do. It's a project. Mike will have to get involved, do that. His fees are in as part of this stuff, and we go forward that way. So that time and bidding procedure, all that time. So I'd say, even if we heard tomorrow and started moving April, May, we got to have the money before we can even start the process. We can't bid it out or do it on an empty bank. You have to have the money appropriated first to award the bid and do that. So that would all have to start there. You're looking, even at that, we wouldn't be starting until fall on that project, just in reality.
There's no deadline for that grant, is there? Do we
No,
need to act
no.
by a certain date for that grant?
No, but we will have to have, once we are approved for it, the project would have to be complete within 3 years of the date of approval.
Okay.
So yes, there is somewhat of a deadline, but it's not a short-term deadline, it's a few years.
Good. Elaine, any questions?
Not for Joe, when we come out of open public comment, I have a question that I just thought of.
Are we still in? No,
We're not an executive.
No, yeah, we're in the regular part of the meeting?
Aren't you in open public comment?
No, we closed that.
Oh, you closed open public comment, okay.
Yep.
All right, so I have one question. I wasn't paying attention when you were talking about the new A1 temp hire that you're bringing in. You listed a bunch of things, and I believe that he's doing POs and he's doing the bills and all that stuff. How could he be writing the checks? Because isn't there a check and balance somewhere? Doesn't the CFO have to actually write the checks so the check and balance?
I think the check and balance there is
In terms of what I've heard from the auditor, from Matt Morrison, there's a check and balance that needs to be occurring, and that would be him putting in AR and then creating the accounts payable, the bill list, and the PO, and then you're going to have to do the checks too?
Yeah, so as I understand, the check and balance is with the CFO's review. So he's going to be doing the purchase order component of it, perhaps the coding, and then once the CFO has to perform a function in order to allow him to print the checks. And then he can go in and actually do the printing of the checks.
Okay, because CFO printed the checks before. I don't understand. Kim and Sherry were doing the purchases and a bunch of things even when Lorraine was here. She took care of looking at that and printing the checks, and then the checks and the POs came to us for signing at the door. So I don't understand why he would be the one that would be printing checks.
All right, well, I think tomorrow, I'm going to be here, I think you're going to be here. We can walk through these bullets with them and ensure that the internal controls are being met. From me just looking at this right now, I'm seeing
Well,
that
you mentioned it, and I don't know, and you put it as a list of items that I don't remember, being there before, and now it's there. And then if we put it on the list that that's what he's going to do, us discussing it isn't going to change it. So it's either we talk about it now, and it's either changed, or it's part of what you're presenting to this man tomorrow. Correct?
well, as I had said, thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I believe the check and balance, if the individual who is cutting the checks is the same person that is putting in the POs, that's an issue.
You know what, can I make a suggestion, because Joe's still here? Are we going to go through the fire company? Maybe we should do that while Joe's here, and then we could talk about this after.
Yeah, I thought it was a quick question, but I think it may require a little more time than necessary. So, Joe, you want to finish up on the fire?
Sure.
So I don't think we have any questions on buildings and grounds. The two gazebos you were talking about in storage buildings and pavilions was the gazebo in our backyard here, the municipal
Correct.
park, and the Stecker.
Pavilion, wooden structure of the Stecker Park in the back, the newer Morton building.
Yeah.
That has wooden poles and stuff like that for that could be sealed up, like I said, as a preventive maintenance type issue.
And you also have the pavilion.
Yeah, that's
In the-
steel metal poles, but there is wood up in the top there. It could be water sealed a little bit.
Okay, that's what you're, it's in here.
That's minor. That's only a few crossovers to help that the metal.
Okay, that's in your estimates here. And the last question I got. You got in municipal building large projects, number 5, replace man doors, DPW and fire station is $5,000 versus storage buildings and pavilions, item 2, replace 2 man doors on storage buildings, $594.
Correct. They're just steel, on the pavilion, on the storage buildings out there are nothing more than home steel doors.
Yeah, the other ones
solid
are the,
doors. These here are metal doors. They gotta have the safety glass because of, this is a public building going. in and out,
storage
stuff
versus,
like
okay,
that.
gotcha.
Fire rated. That building is just a storage building, and the fire code is not as stringent.
Okay.
Because we're not working in it, just storing equipment. We put the equipment away, we pull the equipment out.
Okay.
That's how we designate that. That's why it doesn't need the different type door.
Yeah, it's tenfold. All right, so let's hit the,
I'm sorry, Bill, I didn't know you were not finished with the report.
yeah, that's fine. Do you want to come back up here, or are you picking them up on a microphone?
Am I loud enough?
I am.
You're not really picking up very good.
Yeah, why don't you, all right, I'm sorry.
I think you should
Stop
come back up here.
I can say something, but I won't.
They're being recorded, Joe.
Yeah, by the way, be careful, it's happened to me a couple of times.
Yes. All right, so why don't we go through the fire,
Sure.
estimates here?
All right, I don't know what page you're on, which page you'd like to
The
start
page with the multi-hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, okay, the capital, the
Yes.
fire department capital. On the fire department capital, as we met, and I talked to you about the fire department, I've talked to Tom, we're at a crossroads, unfortunately, with our air packs, that's a life safety device for the firefighters. They, number one, are between 15 and 25 years old, and our air bottle's got a 15-year life, and we're within replacement. I've taken some out of service already, and within the next 2 years, all of them have to be replaced at a cost of $500 to $600 apiece. The only unfortunate thing in this whole thing is our manufacturer of our air packs has gone out of business now over 2 years ago. And each time, we're starting to have failures of these, and it's taken longer and longer to repair these because parts are becoming harder and harder to find. Survive Air Company has been absorbed by Honeywell, the way I understand it, and they're called Sperian now, and they've changed the whole design. So parts are becoming very hard to find. So I put in my capital expenditures request for 22 new air packs at a cost of $9,013.50 a piece. That price was quoted to us back in May of 2014. I rechecked, and as of November 30th, when I put this together, they were still good, and they didn't expect an increase until mid-2015 here. As I lay it out here, and plus 10 additional face pieces because of health issues, each firefighter has to be issued his own face piece. And the retrofit, the brackets that hold them in the truck, because the new packs have different design bottles, smaller bottles, we got to be able to mount them into the truck. But also in my quote, the possibility of a 5% increase. They said they don't think it would be any more than 5% if it happened to happen, making the grand total $212,000, $212,719. That included a possible 5% increase. Also, the people who selling us the air packs offered us a trade-in for the old ones, which they can go out of country, no DOT regulations like we got to meet and everything like that, and they'll give us $800 an air pack trade-in and for our bottles, so there would be about $2,200 that could come off of the final cost. So if we're able to... 22,000, 100,000, but
That's huge.
yes, that's huge. And like I said, if we can get an order in before the increase, that's another $10,000 that we could be saving. Like I said, I don't know where you are with your budget process right now and how fast it would happen. So with that said, like I said, the 22,000 off, we're at 189,419, and the potential for another 10,000 to come off of that if we beat the 2015 increase. I didn't show that because I don't know what the potential is or when this could happen. And then second capital budget item was to a replacement vehicle for to replace our 1992 Chevrolet support van, which carries our additional supplies that don't fit on the engine. So a lot of hazmat, accident materials, speedy dries, spill absorbents, things of that sort. Traffic control devices, our fire police use that vehicle a lot. And if this vehicle we have right now only carries one guy, the driver, the vehicle under state contract, a four-door enclosed utility vehicle would carry 4 to 5 firefighters in it, be able to get, instead of bringing their personal cars out the incident scenes. Plus it'd be an enclosed utility body. We can put all the material in with exterior compartments. That cost under state contract, plus the firefighters doing a little bit of work of switching our radios over, putting additional emergency lights and stuff like that in, having it lettered and striped from someone else, $76,520. A vehicle that like this, if we went to a fire manufacturer, someone who makes rescue trucks for the emergency services, this same truck would be $200,000 to $225,000.
And this is replacing
The
the current support van?
Yes,
So there's no issue with-
1992.
So it's, space-wise, is there an issue?
Space-wise, as in,
You take one, yeah, you bring it, where are you going to park it?
well, it's going to, right now, it's parked where our utility van is now,
Okay.
outside.
Outside.
Yes, that's where the van's been ever since we put that in service. We just don't have the...
Well, this will
the
replace that
space.
big van thing on the
Yes,
seat? I got it.
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
That's only a one person because it's only got one seat in it.
It looks like a bread delivery
The
truck.
bread truck, yep, that's what we call it.
Is that what it is? Is it really? That's what it looks
Well,
like to
actually, it
me.
was
How
a-
funny is that? That's
it was-
exactly what it looks
It was a candy delivery stuff.
Okay.
Store had it here, the candy and cigarette, but that's where we bought it used. And
Okay.
like I said, we purchased that used in 2000, but that chassis and that truck has 190,000 miles on it.
The price quote on the truck says, snow plow prep package.
Correct.
Do you plan on putting a plow on that?
Well, what our plan was is, yes, to eventually put a plow on it for a couple reasons. Number one, the future of having a new firehouse and maybe to keep our lot maintained.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Right.
And also, in the case of an emergency, that we have a snow, the DPWs are out there, but we get one of these blizzards, it could open a path for a fire apparatus to get to a house. We get to a long driveway, we can blast an opening to it, get
Okay.
up to the house, and do our job.
Got it.
That may be
Understood.
needed
Right.
in an emergency.
Yep.
All right, and your apparatus sheet, Joe,
Sure.
I think we were talking about this, right? You want to just hit the items that you're requesting for replacement?
Okay. We sat down and we figured out, tried to come up with a schedule to replace, the apparatus and stuff. And on my schedule, 9873 is that vehicle that we're talking about right now, the 1992 Chevy step van. And as I said, well, it's got 191,000, and this vehicle is 23 years old. We purchased it July of 2000. The next vehicle or next apparatus that would probably be on the list is unit number 9863, which is a 1992 engine, which I'm saying probably within the next two years or so should be up for replacement. This unit's 23 years old, it'll be 25-year-old by then, and into the case that it needs to be replaced, we're getting close at that time. And then the next schedule would come into the 9862, which is 15, we're getting near maybe 8 to 10 years away. But that and the new used aerial apparatus are about the same age, so we're gonna have to do some juggling there.
Okay.
Along with that, the unit number 9872 to 2007 Kenworth tanker, which is 8 years old, we have a 10-year note on. We started paying for that in 2008, and it's proposed, it looks like it's going to be paid off in 2018. The estimated payments on that is $16,000. I don't know what the interest is. I think it was $15,900 was the principal, and then whatever the interest was for that note each year. So that'll be paid off, so hopefully we could roll that payment into the next large purchase apparatus, which I know 18 is 3 years from now. So,
I'm sorry,
but the initial payment wouldn't be on a new apparatus for 3 years if we moved in 2.
You take us out to 2045.
Yes, and hopefully, the young officers I have in there, we sit down, we talk about this, and we work through this at our officers' meetings on a budget. We always have something planned. If there's not anything else that the fire service is good for, is pre-planning. We pre-plan.
30 years.
It doesn't always work, but we try our best.
No, I appreciate, I'm just trying to, put it into the record, because people don't see what we're looking at, but I just want, to thank you, Jim, because you're going out 30-year capital plan, and you've got things staggered so that we can plan as a township committee, that it's not all hitting at once, so,
Yeah, I don't know.
thank you for that.
I don't know if the
And-
copy you guys are getting has these dates on it. That was my scribbling. But for next week, I'll
Have
prepare that so that
replicated.
we can actually, visualize it for everybody,
Yeah.
so they can see what we're seeing up here. Good point.
That's the fire department's large purchase things, I said, as of right now. And then just the O&E is, and as I said, where our appropriation last year was $60,000. I understand we talked about what needed to be done to make it through last year, but I just want to state that we sold 2 old apparatus for a total of $9,000 one-time income, which I had to infuse into our operating expenses to make it through. And my surplus with town money and donations we got last year and the $9,000, I ended 2014 with $2,000 left of money taken in during 2014. So we made it. We're in the black, but just barely. If I would have had a major breakdown or something, we could have been in trouble without dipping into our surplus to make it through our emergency money. And like I said, and then just to go through the things since 2013 and stuff, the fire department got reduced 15 grand 2013, and the year past there was $6,000. So over since end of 2012 to end of 2014, we've taken a $21,000 decrease in our appropriation to, and we've survived, but I've had to do some cutting and stuff of some things. And we discussed the one thing was our PPE, our turnout gear, starting to show our wear, and we see the papers and stuff. Fire's been very, very, very cruel to us, 2014 and starting 15 in Warren County. Our manpower's getting lower and lower, and we're running more calls helping other departments just as they come in and help us. We're seeing more fire, and that's a sign, unfortunately, of the times and people changing way they're supposed to be heating the houses and not knowing the materials that they're discarding. A lot of them are accidental from wood stoves that they think are out and stuff like that.
Very, very good point. I've been there. And, you know, I appreciate your comments on the fact with the appropriation and the reduction and, you know, yourself going above and beyond and working within that budget. I think I appreciate that, and I'm sure the taxpayers appreciate that. So thank you for your efforts in that area. Any other questions for Joe on fire?
Not for me, other than, again, thank you, Joe, for such a detailed presentation. It really helps us to, you know, to get a visual. I mean, it's like...
You really understand what
Yeah,
it takes to work.
yeah.
And make things last, and he's going out to, he's got the 30-year plan. I think that's great. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, so I think those were the only items that we could talk about today. Kim, if we could prepare these folders and distribute them out as early as possible.
I'm going to just put mine back with
I'll
my...
take it, and I'll take Angela's.
And do we have this one?
I just want to go through your stuff, but make sure that things are handed to you, like the DPW budget. I want to make copies of that.
Okay, yeah, before we go, we'll...
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you have anybody, okay, you have anything on it, and any other budgets that were submitted to you?
I'll give you what I got today,
Okay.
all right? Joe, did we need to do anything on...
I want to follow up with the link, because I think she had...
No, I meant, no, I will, on the fire, on the lawn, the bid discussion?
No.
All right, so we don't have to do it.
So I'm gonna...
Not tonight.
Okay,
Yep.
Good.
Mike and Joe's farm.
Okay, all right, so,
You and I with, Mike Mellon's farm, when he's here.
11 o'clock.
Yeah. Get that squared away, and then I'm gonna advertise it and, have it for...
10-day
for
close.
the April,
yep,
regular meeting and budget workshop.
the regular meeting, yes. Thank you. Okay, so, Elaine, we'll go back to your question, which was, I think the internal controls on the temp who was putting in the purchase order information as well as printing out the checks. Is that correct? I got that right?
Putting in the purchase order, making sure the signatures are there, creating the bill list, and And then also putting checks. Yes, that's fine. I think it does it, there's no oversight.
He cannot print checks until the CFO performs a function in Edmonds, is how I recall this happening. There is a block there.
He's going to be doing Edmonds. She does not know how to do Edmonds, Jim. She made that perfectly clear. She doesn't know how to do Edmonds. So he's the Edmonds person.
Okay, so today, how does it happen?
Today, it is Jim and Shelley putting in all that stuff, releasing it, and she's not willing to that. I don't believe she even knows how to do Edmonds, Jim.
Okay, so who's releasing it, Kim? Who's going into Edmonds and doing this?
I'm doing the checks.
Yeah.
The last check on what was done, right next to it. It's the last batch of checks.
Whose ID is going into Edmonds?
I'm on that batch of checks.
Mm-hmm. Lorraine, Joan has an ID.
Right.
Okay. So whose ID is being used?
John.
Okay. Joan's ID is being used.
I think the reason why you're hiring this gentleman is because he has the Edmonds skill set. People have not been trained. I don't think she knows Edmonds. I think this is it's fine and well, but the checks and balances have to be in place and not certainly with a temporary person. I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying that that needs to be looked at. And I don't want to just say, okay, he gets to do the checks too.
Okay. Well,
He's not the bonded person.
we will ensure that there is an internal control in
He's not
place.
the bonded person.
Understood.
Okay.
So, we'll ensure that Joan's role, yes, Joan is not Edmonds savvy. However, she does get into Edmonds, and it's my belief, and I'll confirm this tomorrow with her, but it's my belief that she has that she goes in and does this release function within Edmonds that gets you from the purchase order to the check. I don't know what that is.
Gets to the purchase order to the left.
Yeah, I mean, there's another role that needs to be played in there, and that role, in my mind, is Joan.
Exactly, and I don't believe that a temporary person should be issuing the checks. It should be the CFO. So, the list that you have, I think we need to think about that before you give him the list of what he needs to do tomorrow.
Elaine, you raised a point about not being bonded. I don't know the process of how that works. Do you know, Kim?
I had Joan just recently complete she has to be statutorily, her and the tax collector have to advise. And so,
Tax collector is bonded,
and
CFO is bonded.
all the other ones fall under the general public officials liability type thing.
Okay, and that's what I was going to add, because like before, when we had people like Sharon Brown and others who worked, were those people bonded, or did they?
Grace Brennan was.
Okay, so she was the CFO, but
She wasn't a CFO, she was a treasurer.
okay,
She's the named treasurer in the township.
okay, but forget Grace, that's a bad example. I specifically use Sharon Brown because she was an assistant in the finance department. That's more analogous to what this temporary person would be. All of our previous part-timers were never bonded, right?
Excuse me?
Okay, so the functions were different. Okay.
Yes, she was the treasurer. That's
Okay.
what, there's an ordinance or a title, one of these things that call for a treasurer. And then they appointed a treasurer, and that was Sharon Brown.
All right, I see. Okay. All right, so I think that's definitely a fair point in terms of making sure that whatever the functions that the part-time person does are not functions that would require bonding, is the issue, whatever that may be.
They're not actually financial things that they would be producing checks or handling money.
Is the cost to bond, is it,
We won't want
I don't know if it's prohibitive, but I don't know that we want to bond somebody temporarily.
Can't just bond them.
Okay, I'm just asking the question, that's all. If it's, you know, if it's perfunctory and not a big deal, and,
And it's a title, it's a title situation, it's not something we're going to be throwing upon him.
yeah.
I just want to know those facts before we listen.
No, it's, you know, it's a legitimate issue that we have to be careful not to run afoul. So, I mean, I'm in agreement that whatever the tasks and responsibilities are, they have to be divvied up in a way that he's not doing something that would require bonding and him not being bonded, whatever that is. That we had, that, you know, that has to be the driving factor of how tasks are assigned. Whatever is a bonding activity,
I'm
Joe has
just
to
saying
do.
that I don't believe that writing the checks is the responsibility of a temp person. That's all I'm saying. One time Sharon Brown did it, she was named the treasurer. We're not going to do it with Scott. So it's either the CFO, or I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, well, we'll have the appropriate resource, bonding or otherwise, perform the associated roles. That's it.
So you're going to name him a treasurer?
We're not, no, we're bringing in a temp agency, and I will, I mean, this is, you know, we should have had Frank on the phone, because I can't answer these questions.
So I guess my question is why can't we just have the CFO do the check?
We can request her to do the checks.
Okay, that's all we really need to do. I mean, it was just the way to order checks on there, and then I was thinking, I was saying, he sends his checks, he's done.
Okay. Yeah, if that's the simple fix, then we'll make sure that works.
He does the checks, that's all.
Yeah. No, that makes
Okay.
sense. That's good. Oh, we can do it.
Okay.
I'll take his bullet and clarify it. Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions here? Any public comments? Seeing only two individuals?
Ken, you want to say something?
Any?
We're good.
You good?
All right.
I'm good.
Have fun tonight?
Seeing nodding heads, we'll dispense with public comment. Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 8:30, okay.
Feel better, Elaine.
Elaine, you there? Oh, I guess we lost her. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
TA? Joe, I'm not reading.
Everybody read up on your